this podcast, we are going to go over the common naming system for some simple alcohols. So the common system for naming alcohols is pretty simple. It's comparable to how we would name an alkyl halide. So we're going to take all the carbon atoms in the parent chain and we're going to name them as a single alkyl group. And then we add the word alcohol afterwards. So instead of practicing here, I've set up a table on the next slide for us to practice. All right, I thought it'd be a good idea for us to practice both IUPAC and common names because you could be asked either on an exam. So let's start with a simple one-carbon alcohol. So using our IUPAC conventions, we are going to use the prefix meth, and we are going to end it with OL. So we drop the E from methane and change it to OL, and that is methanol. Because there's only a single carbon, that OH group cannot be anywhere else, so we do not have to number it. If we were to name this using the common system, we would look at the entire carbon chain as being an alkyl group, and we would name it as such. So this would be methyl, and then we add the word alcohol. That is the kind of alcohol you don't want to drink. It's going to cause blindness and death. All right. So looking at the next one, we have 2 carbons. So for IUPAC, we would use the prefix eth. And remember that we use the parent chain ethane, drop the E, and add an OL. So this is ethanol. If we were to name this using the common system, again, we're going to take this entire carbon chain and we're going to name it as an alkyl group. So it is a ethyl group. So this would be ethyl, and we add the word alcohol. This is the drinking kind of alcohol when you drink beer and wine when you're of age. All right, the next one, we have 1, 2, 3. Let's start with IUPAC. 3 is prop. We use the parent alkane name propane, drop the E, add an OL, and it's propanol. Now in this situation, we could have the OH group coming off of the first carbon, or it could come off of the second carbon. So because there's 2 different locations it can be in, we now have to label the location of that. When you have a hydroxyl group coming off of the first carbon, we are going to name it the same way as we have. We're going to call it propyl, so we're naming it as an alkyl group, alcohol, and I'm not using the right color, but you'll forgive me, I'm sure. All right, this last example, we have still 1, 2, 3 carbons. So if we were to name this using the IUPAC conventions, it would still be propanol because it's a 3-carbon alcohol, but this time we have our hydroxyl group coming off of the second carbon. That's fine and all, but we can't call this propyl alcohol because we called 1-propanol propyl alcohol. So for the common name, we would call this, because it's coming off of the center or the middle carbon, we would call this isopropyl alcohol, also known as rubbing alcohol.